Good morning, Ram Nation. Welcome into DNVR Rams Live, presented by High Plainz Strains, the Northeastern Colorado dispensary. They provide top quality cannabis and a wide variety of products. If you give them a visit, be sure to mention DNVR to take advantage of their deals. Man, it was a much needed win for CSU football fans. It had been kind of a rough couple days in the portal. And then Tory Horton comes out and announces that he's back. He does the kind of cryptic tweet where it says, "Thank you, Ram Nation." You think it's going to be a goodbye video. And at the end, it says, "I'm back." Such a massive, massive win for CSU. For Jay Norvell, huge to be able to retain such a talented player. Big for the Mountain West to be able to keep Tory Horton and Ashton Jeanty, two guys that could play anywhere in the country. So that's huge. We're going to get into it real quick. Just in the intro, I did want to shout out Trey McBride. He has fully come alive for the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody in Fort Collins doubted that he would be a stud at the next level, but I mean, he's looked like an all-pro of late. McBride, he's already 61st in franchise history in total catches with 95. Think about that. Has started like 8 games, and he's 61st in franchise history in total catches with 95. He's top 70 in receiving yards as well, 69th at 977. This year, he has 66 catches for 712 yards. He's really done most of that over the last 8 weeks. No Cardinals tight end had ever had a 100-yard receiving game before this season. He's already done it twice, including yesterday. He had another game with 95 yards. So it's just been really cool to see. Never doubted Trey for a second. He's the best tight end that I've ever been around in person. And now that he's found his groove here in year 2 with Kyler Murray back under Jonathan Gannon, I think it's huge. I think the sky is the limit for him moving forward. He's an all-pro type player. And I think the conversation very quickly across NFL circles is going to really be, is the best tight end in football right now? Is it, Sam Laporta or Trey McBride? As I mentioned last week, Trey needs to do this with a little bit more consistency, for another year or so before he really gets the love that he deserves on a national level. But it's just been awesome to see. Really, really exciting. Appreciate everybody in the comment section. We're going to get into this Horton situation. Jacob, I'll get to your comment here momentarily, but I do want to tell you guys about an awesome deal. The golf passport via ColoradoAvidGolfer.com. Prices are going to go up January 1st. So if you are a golfer, this is something that you're going to want to take advantage of. It's Colorado's #1 golf discount program for 22 years running. My grandpa gets it every year. More golf, more lessons, more gear, more deals. It really is awesome. You can get up to 60% off on golf across the state, including the Ridge, Common Ground, Keystone. So many great courses. A free golf cart is included every time, so you don't have to lug your your clubs around. Other discounts at the PGA Superstore, Golf TEC, numerous indoor simulator facilities. It really is epic. For everything golf news, stories, travel, and tech, follow Colorado Avid Golfer on Facebook, IG, and Twitter, and visit ColoradoAvidGolfer.com. Use the code DNVR10 to save even more money. I also want to shout out our friends over at Circa Sportsbook out in Las Vegas. Las Vegas's first ever adult-only resort and casino. This place is sweet, man. They have the world's largest sportsbook. It's multiple. Good Lord, I'm getting tongue-tied this morning. It's multiple levels. It's like being at a movie theater. It's awesome. They've got Stadium Swim, which is really, really epic. Great food options. I mean, it's the coolest place that I've ever stayed in Vegas. 7,000 square foot casino with 2 levels, over 1,300 slots, 48 table games, dancing dealers. It is the bee's knees. If you're heading out to Vegas for Broncos Raiders, you have an awesome opportunity with our trip for DNVR, Avs Knights, Pac-12, CSU. If you're going out there for the Mountain West tournament, make sure you book your stay with the code DNVR20 for 20% off. Also, download the app at circasports.com. Circa Sports bets can be made only while physically located in Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit problemgamblingcolorado.org. All right, let's get into it. Yes, Tory, I'm stoked. I know everybody in Ram Nation is stoked. We had a question here from Jacob a couple moments ago about if the Lewis Brown's situation was impacted by Tory, or if Tory was impacted by Lewis Brown. I don't think so. I think based on what I've heard, there have been some Power 5 coaches kind of pursuing LB for quite some time now. A couple of teams that beat CU in the Pac-12, actually. I would not be surprised if he ended up, like a UCLA, a USC, or Arizona is actually my guess for him, but we shall see. I want to get into what this return means for CSU. Like I said at the beginning, it was a tough couple of days in the portal. Horton comes back, eases so much of the worry that you had. Yesterday, I think I said I was at like a 5, maybe a 5.5 out of 10 on the panic level. Now it's down at like a 2. I mean, you have the foundation of your offense. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi really flashed greatness at times last year. He's a really talented young quarterback. Really excited for what he could be moving forward. The thing about Tory is he's a guy that can obviously put up insane numbers. I mean, almost 200 catches the last couple of years. He's got 16 receiving touchdowns, a couple of punt returns for touchdowns. He threw a touchdown. He can do anything for it. I mean, he's a guy that's going to cut the grass, fill the water cooler, whatever the expression is from Friday Night Lights, and he can pass. But more than anything, he's a safety blanket for the quarterback, which you really want BFN to be able to build off what he flashed this year. He's got all the arm talent in the world, can make some really spectacular throws down the field. Having a guy like Tory who's just going to get open on third down, it's 3rd and 8. He's going to find a way to create a couple of yards of separation and get it, or he's going to make a guy miss. I mean, he's going to come down with that 50-50 ball when you're trying to stretch the field. He's a game changer. And for CSU, which obviously needs to find success this next season, getting a guy like Tory back, it just elevates everybody's ceiling. It's such a pivotal year, and he's, in my opinion, if not the best player in the Mountain West, one of the best players in the Mountain West. I think it's really him or Ashton Gienti, and I don't really think that's up for debate, to be honest. Honestly, I think he's top 50 talent right now. I do think he can silence any doubters that he may have. I have heard some pro scouts have some durability questions, which is weird to me because he took a beating this year and he always got back up. There were so many times I thought he was going to be out for a week or two, always managed to be back out there. What's great about Tory's situation is he's a young 21. I mean, he just turned 21, so he can play all of next year, still go into the league at 22, play his way into the top 50, maybe even the first round, because that's how skilled he is. I do think he needs to put a few more things on tape just in terms of contested catches, stuff that the scouts are kind of looking for. They're going to try and nitpick and find holes in your game because, there's a lot of guys that produce, in the next year, but I'm really excited to see what Tory can do in year 2, assuming with BFN, you've got Justice Ross Simmons on the other side. You've got the foundation of your offensive line. You've got a really talented stable of running backs that you're intrigued about. I mean, Damian Henderson and obviously Justin Marshall, what he was able to do at the end of the year, it was awesome. And I think with all these guys coming back, it makes you feel so much better. Obviously, I still think they need to try and find a transfer tight end. And I mean, especially with Tory coming back, why wouldn't you want to come play in this system? You can see that a guy like Dallin Holker was still able to eat despite the fact that they had multiple receivers in the mix. Tory had even more catches than he did a year ago. The yardage was basically the same, as was the touchdowns. And that's with Justice Ross Simmons, with Lewis Brown, with Dylan Goffney, and then obviously Dallin Holker playing a really, really big role. You add a transfer tight end, all of a sudden you feel really good about this offense, especially, assuming that the O-line is going to at least build off of kind of what we saw. I'm not saying they're going to be quite as good because what we saw this year was tremendous. I mean, the growth we saw in the trenches under Bill Best was night and day. So I'm just really stoked that we got a question here from Dawson. Justin, would you like to see them add defensive pieces? Yeah, I'd like to see them add depth at corner, especially after losing TJ Crandall. I think if you could add another interior defensive lineman, that would be great, but it's kind of easier said than done. It's a lot like, everyone wants a athletic quarterback that can run around and also has a cannon and is really smart, finding an athletic defensive tackle that can make plays in the run game, that can be impactful in pass rush situations. They're not built on trees, and that's kind of what made the loss of Grady Kelly so significant. I do think they need to hit the portal if they can. I'm sure they're going to recruit the FCS level hard, kind of like they did a year ago. They were able to get some really impactful guys. So I'll be interested to see what happens there on the defensive side. But as far as the offense goes, I think this really elevates CSU's ceiling and just gives you so much reassurance going into the year because you know what Tory is able to do. I mean, this is a guy that he put up numbers when he was the only threat on the team. He still was able to, go long and produce plays. He didn't have quite as many explosive plays over the top. And I think that has a lot to do with the way that defenses were covering him and they respect that speed, his ability to burn you. And because of that, it opens up some things across the middle for Dallin. It opens up some things deep for Justice Ross Simmons. And we're going to see more of that next year with Ross Simmons coming back. And then obviously you hope that Jordan Ross is what we expect him to be. I recently saw they had 247 had dropped him from a 4-star to a 3-star, which is ridiculous. Go watch that guy on film. Tell me he isn't a stud. I'm really excited about this 2024 signing class in general. The Rams, I think, found some really under the radar talent, some diamonds in the rough here. Jacob Kennedy said it best here. Time to go grab the next McBride/Holker. All right, sorry. Voice is a little phlegmy this morning. Like I said, yeah, I think this is a win for Jay Norvell. It's a win for CSU. It's a win for the Mountain West to be able to retain this type of talent. And you've got to credit Jay Norvell a lot for being able to hang on to Mo Camara last year and Chigozie Anuzium. Either of those guys could have gone pro or, as graduates could have tested the transfer circles again. Now you get Tory to come back for the second time. I mean, he's been open about P5 schools trying to poach Tory going back to last summer at Mountain West Media Days, talking about SEC coaches coming after him. We all kind of speculated who that might be. My guess was always Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. They came after Trey pretty hard as well. But it just says a lot about the way that Tory obviously feels about Jay Norvell. But really, I think in general, the fact that they've been able to keep the heart and soul of this team multiple years now, it shows the way the locker room feels about Jay Norvell. And that really speaks volumes. And I know that the Dion trolls are out and about and they're loud, and I don't give a shit what any of you have to say. But I think this is really great for CSU. It's awesome to see a guy like Tory wanting to stick around, and I cannot wait to see what he's able to do in a great schedule, frankly, to potentially put on for the Scouts. I mean, opening up against Texas, obviously there's going to be a ton of attention on that CU matchup. And, if he can have another solid game like he did in Boulder, that's really going to elevate his cause. If he stays healthy throughout the league slate, it's just going to be so huge. He's a special guy. So many players in his position would have transferred out. And from the very first day that he got on campus, he's been nothing but a leader. He's been so integral for CSU, being able to keep it together, honestly. Like when so many of those vets just decided to leave mid-season and basically leave the Rams high and dry in 2022, and they barely had enough guys to practice. It was ridiculous, especially by November. And once the injuries had really started to add up and stuff like that, you always knew Tory was going to be out there. You always could depend on him to make plays, to be a leader for the freshmen that frankly got forced onto the field out of necessity. Even now, a lot of guys, again, they could hit the portal, they could chase a check. He's staying loyal to Jay Norvell, which is cool. It's really cool for CSU. I cannot wait to see what type of production he has, and I hope he's rewarded for it. I hope he's rewarded with the same type of season that boosts his stock the way that Mo Camara did this year, which, I think Mo is going to be a day 2 pick at the latest. I mean, he really put on this year, which is what you're hoping for Tory. I mean, obviously we'd like to see it lead to a little bit more team success. You'd like to see them reach the postseason. Been far too long, but just a massive win optically, a massive win for the way that he elevates the offense, a massive win for the fans, a massive win for the university. I mean, I could go on and on. Cannot wait to see what he does next year. We're going to talk about the CSU basketball victory. Number 17 Rams moved to 10-1 with a blowout victory over CSU Pueblo yesterday. When you get hurt, Backus and Shanker, they are here to help. They have been helping Colorado families for more than 25 years. They're free until they win money in your case. You don't have to pay an upfront fee. There's no hidden fees or fees while they work on your case. They've already won over $1 billion for their clients, which is a testament to the great work that they do. They have locations serving all of Colorado, including neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins. They have the strength and power to win your case with more than 30 lawyers and 100 staff. Backs and Schenker helps with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. They can even help if you're injured at work. Call Backus and Schenker at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Schenker wins. Also got to talk about our presenting sponsors, High Plainz Strains, the premier dispensary in northeastern Colorado. Hit them up for all your needs, including infused edibles, high-potency concentrates, the best flower in the state. They've got 3 locations, all in northeastern Colorado, one in Log Lane Village, one in Garden City, one in Sedgwick. Go check them out. You can order online at highplainstrains.com, pick up at any of their convenient locations, and they have drive-thrus. You don't even have to get out of your car. That is the world we live in. Epic. Remember to use that code DNVR online or mention DNVR in stores to take advantage of these High Plainz Strains deals. Whew. Running on empty at the end of that one. Shady Rays. Shady Rays makes a premier product. It's just as good as any expensive sunglasses company. They always have your back with the lost and broken replacement guarantee. If you lose your pair, even day one, they're going to send you a brand new one, no questions asked. Shady Rays, they're the bee's knees. Check them out. Make sure you use the code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. All you got to do is go to shadyrays.com. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Okay. All right, pulling up the stats here. CSU men's basketball, they moved to 10-1. Great to see, really cementing their case as a top 20 program. As I mentioned last week, it's a situation where you basically just want to solidify what you have already built. You know, the Rams, they had the loss against St. Mary's. That happens. It's not going to be a bad loss metric-wise. They were able to pull out, I think it was a double overtime, at least an overtime victory over UNLV. Crazy finish the other night. UNLV, man, I don't know what to think about them. They beat Creighton. They lose to Southern. They're all over the place. I have a hard time seeing Kruger be back next year. This was a comfortable win for CSU. I mean, 86-54. They're up 20 at halftime. It's basically exactly what you would want to see in this situation. A little sloppy out of the gate, to be honest. They kind of looked like a team that hadn't played in 8 days. But I also felt like the defensive intensity was solid. I thought that the transition offense was excellent all night. I thought guys did a great job of hitting shots. That's sometimes something you worry about, especially after an extended break like that. Not only did CSU not play for 8 days, but they also had, like 3 days off in general, trying to get healthy. This is a team that's really been hit hard by the injury bug of late. And what I like about games like this against Adams State, and even a deceptively tough game on Friday against LMU in Los Angeles, it's an opportunity for you to get some significant run for guys like Tavy Jackson and Kyan Evans. And I thought seeing both of those guys play 22 plus minutes apiece was really big. I thought Tavy Jackson in the starting lineup made a lot of sense for multiple reasons. I mean, I tweeted it before the game, but one, I just want to see him get a chance to get comfortable out there. He's missed a lot of time over the last 2 years. I think he's really talented. It looks like he's grown a little bit to me this year. I've seen a couple of people point that out. I agree. Looks a little lankier, but he was awesome in this one. 13 points, 2 of 2 from deep, got to the line a ton, 7 of 8, was able to knock down his free throws, 4 rebounds. He gives a really scrappy effort, 2 assists, only had 1 turnover in 22 minutes. Also was great as a perimeter defender. Before I miss it, yes, we will have a new CSU basketball shirt coming out at some point. Really excited to see how that one turns out. I'm kind of working with our guy D-Line to make that happen. So it's going to be sick. Trust me. Eric is very excited about it, as am I. Again, Tavy, I thought was great to see. I thought it was great to see Kyan Evans play some really great minutes. They were awesome as on-ball defenders. The perimeter defense as a whole was really solid for CSU. This is a Pueblo team that isn't afraid to put up a lot of shots, and the Rams did a good job of making it hard. They had a ton of air balls. They only went 4 of 22 from 3-point range. That's 18%. CSU went 10 of 26, 38%. they cooled down a little bit at the end too. They were north of 40 for the vast majority of the game. Overall, the Rams went 51% from the floor. Great to see a 36-12 advantage in the paint. Talked about that going in. It was just an area where they were going to have a huge advantage due to Joel Scott, due to Cartier, and we actually saw Kyle Evans step up and play some really big minutes without Memba out there as well. So all of that was great. If I'm going to nitpick, a few too many turnovers for the Rams in this one. That is something that Pueblo does pretty well, and I talked about that going in, but 15 turnovers it's high for CSU. It's a season high, actually. They forced 20 turnovers and turned it into 31 points the other way, which was awesome to see. Gave up 7 offensive rebounds, maybe could have boxed out a little bit better at times. That resulted in only 3 second chance points. I was reading that wrong. So not that big of a deal, honestly, in the end. But what was really significant to me was the 3-point shooting, was the concerted effort on the glass, and was the ability to get out and run and create in transition. I mean, there were a couple of instances where Pueblo was just kind of late with getting back, or they were slow getting a hand up, and guys like Nick Clifford, guys like Isaiah Stevens, they made them pay. And that's exactly what you want to see in this type of matchup. Credit Pueblo. I thought that they were physical, that they created a lot of fouls and kind of mucked it up in the paint in that second half. Muldrow and Walter, those are physical guys. They did a good job of just kind of not allowing this one to turn into like a 50-point route, which it certainly could have given the disparity in talent in this one. But this was basically just everything I wanted to see. There were a lot of fouls in the second half, so maybe you'd like to see a little bit cleaner defense there. But I think that really was more about, guys like Walter and Muldrow kind of forcing their will. Got a comment here from Jacob. Tavy had a great game. I'm feeling better about the post-Stevens era with Tavy, Evans, and Lake. Yeah, I mean, I think the point guard position in general is, and just the future of CSU, you look at this most recent signing class, they've got some really intriguing guards and forwards coming in as well. So I'm excited about the future of this program. Really hope they're able to keep Nico Medved, obviously, but that's not something that I want to fixate on every single game. Like, yes, that is a factor with success, especially as a Mountain West team. You know that he's going to get floated more and more. The more success he has, the more he's going to get thrown out as a guy for bigger schools to target. We'll just have to see. I do think institutionally, there's some stuff you can do to kind of keep him around, whether that's pay raise, that's, increased travel, recruiting, all that stuff. But I don't want to fixate on it. I want to enjoy the run because we don't know what's going to happen. He very well could be back. And then, we spent the whole year worrying for nothing. And honestly, if he does move on, it'll be really disappointing. But this job is a hell of a lot more appealing than it was when he took over post Larry Eustace. I mean, what he's been able to build is phenomenal. And what this program has been able to do over these first 11 games has just been awesome. It's been so much fun to see the bounce back. Shout out to CSU without even students in town. They still had north of 5,000 people in Moby. That's great to see. Would have been close to a sellout for a Division II game if, the students weren't on break. I hope to see that continue as we go throughout the conference slate. Rams got some big games coming up. Adams State, not so much, but that game against New Mexico in particular, that's one where they're going to need Moby packed. You want to feel the energy. Any advantage you can give to this team is huge. Because I do think that home court advantage, home field advantage, whatever you want to call it, I do think it has much more of an impact in basketball than it does on the football side. There's just so much more raw energy in Moby than there is in Canvas. Some of it is the way that the sound is trapped, and a lot of it, honestly, it just has to do with the quality of play. We've got a question here from Taylor. J. Mike, do you think Ali Faroukmanesh is the heir apparent if Nico moves on? I would hire Ali. I just want that to be known. Again, this isn't something that I want to talk about after every single win. If Nico moves on, I would absolutely promote Ali. He's been here since day one. He's a phenomenal recruiter. I've seen the things that he does in practice, the improvement that he's helped with these guards. I mean, it's been awesome. I wonder if his lack of experience head coach wise would be used against him. I get that. At the same time, keeping a guy that's been integral to this growth, that's been a part of the system, since day one, I would absolutely give it to Ali, and I would be stoked if he got it. And frankly, I'd be disappointed if he didn't, because I think if he didn't, he'd probably end up, going to whatever high major gig, stole Nico away. But, we'll see. We'll just have to see what happens. None of us can forecast the future. And ultimately, I think the best advice is just to enjoy the run, because seasons like this are few and far between. You never know when you're going to see a team that has this much experience, this much talent. And hopefully, if the stars align right, they're going to make a really significant run in the postseason, which for me would just be a dream come true. I mean, I'm a massive college basketball fan. I've talked a lot about on the podcast how, seeing that run under Tim Miles and seeing the Moby madness, in 2011, 2012, so much of that is kind of what made me really fall in love with like college hoops and want to be at CSU. I've always been a CSU Ram. I very likely would have ended up there anyways, but just seeing those crowds and the energy and wanting to be a part of that every single night, it sold me. I mean, it really did. If you can tell, athletics were always more of my focus than hitting the books. As far as some of the individual standouts from this matchup go, Joel Scott, nice bounce back game after kind of a tough one. He had 11 points. He's a guy that normally has killed Pueblo in the past, back when he was at Black Hills State. Tavy Jackson, 13 points. Love to see that. Also had 4 rebounds, a couple assists. I just love the energy that he brings. And also, I think it's good to have Joe Palmer coming off the bench as that 6th man. That has nothing to do with his talent, or that's not to say that he's, not good enough to be in the starting 5. I just think the way that he impacts the flow of the game, the way that he's able to make the biggest benefit for the rotation is by being that spark plug off the bench that comes in key stretches and knocks down some shots and gets the hustle boards and dives for the loose balls and does all that. And he's still going to play a huge factor. I mean, he had kind of a rough game in this one, shooting 0 points, 0-4 shooting, 0-3 from deep. He did have 2 rebounds, no turnovers, which is great. Only ended up playing 17 minutes. But a lot of that had to do with, how well Kyan and Tavy were playing. Kyan Evans, 6 points, 2 of 4 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. I love how confident he is with the ball. He'll drive into the paint, and if it's there, he'll attack the hoop, but he's always looking to create something for others. You can just see that inherently he has that point guard mentality that we saw from Isaiah Stevens from day one. Yes, like he's a competent scorer, and we saw him knock down a couple of catch and shoot threes really, really confidently. But I also think his ability to drive and facilitate and make those kick out passes to guys on the perimeter, especially when they're knocking down shots, it's just so huge. And again, going back to that comment we had earlier, I think the future of the guard position is very, very intriguing for CSU. Isaiah did Isaiah things in this one: 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, only 2 turnovers. Nick Clifford, 13 points. He had 9 rebounds. Love his effort on the glass. Also had 3 assists. Pat Cartier, 13 points, 5 of 6 from the floor. His efficiency is freaking nuts. I went through those numbers last week, so I'm not going to reiterate that, but what he's done over these last 5-6 games has just been nuts. It's been huge to have his presence out there. He opens up the offense. The spacing of the floor just completely changes with him out there because of the way he's able to knock down those threes, but also put the ball on the floor. He can post up on you. He's just such a skilled scorer. And, each year I think he's become more of a competent defender. It was tough on him making that jump from D2 to D1 in a way that we haven't seen with Joel Scott. Joel Scott, more of kind of a physical presence, where Cartier is more of the finesse presence, but together they're, just so smooth. I was going to call them the Twin Towers, but I don't know if we want to go with that. So we'll come up with a different nickname. If we have any suggestions in the comment section for a nickname for Cartier and for Joel Scott down there in the front court, send it my way. I'm open to suggestions. Otherwise, we'll have to workshop that one. But yeah, I thought this was a really encouraging game for CSU. I mean, it's one of those where we're not going to fixate on you're playing a Division II team, but I do think it was big for the Rams to get some run in before they make this trip to LMU on Friday night. This is one where if they pull it out, again, you're going to probably be inside the top 15 come conference play, which is just really cool. It's a testament to what Nico Medved has built. it's really cool seeing a guy like Isaiah Stevens return for a 5th year, not electing to hit the transfer portal and have it really benefit him in a major way. I mean, that's what we would like to see for a guy like Tory Horton on CSU football. Like, you want to see him put up the numbers. You want to see him get all the individual glory, but you also want to see it lead to the team success that, frankly, we've not had enough of for far too long now. That's all I've got for you this morning. I have another podcast that I recorded last night that I will get up for you guys. So make sure you check all of that out. We'll have content throughout the week. Obviously, the early signing period is coming up. I'm really looking forward to this class and kind of diving into it. I think there's some really intriguing athletes in the offensive line. You look at guys like Dupree and Jordan Ross and Curry, I think are really intriguing offensive prospects. I'm excited about some of these local guys. I mean, I'm stoked. I'm really stoked about the future. I think the worry level should be at ease after, a rough couple of days in terms of the portal situation for CSU football. We would like to see some more additions. We're starting to see some posts about, OVs and whatnot, but the staff kind of works quietly. Again, a lot of those transfers that came in last year, we didn't see a ton of, flash and stuff like that on social media. And they ended up being hugely impactful players. I mean, you look at Dom Jones in North Dakota State, who's been huge at corner, or you look at Dallin, obviously Jordan Noyes of the at kicker. And I struggle to pronounce his name, by the way. And I got a nasty DM about that. So if you're listening, guys, sorry, I'm doing my best on Jordan Noyes. But yeah, really intriguing time to be a CSU fan. Really think that next year is huge. Think that Tory coming back elevates this team's ceiling in a major way. Excited to see what he is able to do. He is the best wide receiver in the state of Colorado. I do not care what the masses are screaming over on the other side. Cannot wait to see what he is able to do next year. Much love, y'all. Always proud to be. Peace.